The old man is finally gone, having lived so long for nothing. Now he can collect his life insurance, right? I can finally be compensated for the misfortune of marrying you. Show me how much you're getting. I have no interest in joining your pathetic hick funeral. The words my husband spoke were not condolences, but outright insults directed at my father and me. To make matters worse, he tossed coins from his pocket at me, calling it his contribution to the gift of assistance. The once kind man who had given me that lucky dime and encouragement is nowhere to be seen. How did it all come to this? My vision was blurred by tears of rage and misery. Suddenly, a man appeared before me, playing a crucial role in what would come next. I was 35, working at a confectionery plant. My ex-husband and I had met at a previous job. At that time, I was a fresh graduate, clueless about my work. I made countless mistakes while everyone else seemed to get it right. I thought they were just minor flaws at first, but my struggle to learn new tasks persisted. The company fostered a cutthroat environment, so I was completely lost. When I made mistakes, my colleagues were burdened, and I carried the weight of their frustration. One day, it became too overwhelming, and I ended up crying in a small kitchen corner at work. My ex-husband, who happened to find me there, asked, "What's wrong? Do you want to talk?" I thanked him through my tears and confessed that I had made another mistake. He was 2 years older and had been with the company longer. He listened to my woes and managed to make me smile. I thought to myself, what a nice guy, and felt a bit better in his presence. He then remembered something and pulled out his wallet. Taking out a coin, he said, "This is a lucky silver dime from 1944. I hope it brings you good luck." I vowed to always keep that dime with me, no matter what. I soon found myself falling for him and asked a colleague to help me get closer to him. We started dating, fell in love, and eventually got married. I was ecstatic about the life we were building together. But there was one person who didn't agree with me, my father. He had devoted his life to the family farm, and although he was a man of few words and had rarely spoken to me growing up, he had a clear objection to my marriage. "I think you're rushing into this," he said. "I don't trust him. He might seem like a nice guy, but I believe there's someone else hiding behind that facade. You should wait and get to know him better." I retorted, "How do you know he's not good for me after meeting him just once? Besides, you've never given me any fatherly advice before. Now, all of a sudden, you're acting like a concerned father and lecturing me. I'm an adult. I don't need your permission." Hearing his objections for the first time, I felt hurt and unfairly blamed him. He never mentioned it again, and I ignored his warning, got married, and left home. We hadn't spoken since then. I told myself everything was fine. I had my husband and was happy with my marriage. I pretended there was nothing wrong in my life, but the reality was far from what I had imagined. Shortly after we married, my ex began to act arrogantly toward me. "Hey, where's my dinner?" he would demand. "Didn't I tell you to clean the house? I'm embarrassed living in this mess. I want to wear this tomorrow, so iron it and don't forget to polish my shoes." Despite his mistreatment, I tried my best to balance work and home life. I perfected housework to avoid criticism, but he took it for granted and never showed appreciation. "Good job, huh?" he would say sarcastically. "Of course, you should be able to do all of this as a wife. Are you seriously asking for a compliment? If you think this is praiseworthy, you should be on your knees thanking me for my job." And now, with his promotion to manager, he used his position to demean me even more. "All your work proposals are lame and boring. It's clear you were born and raised in the backcountry. Your existence reeks of mud," he sneered. He didn't just degrade me, he also disrespected my family. I was growing increasingly fed up with him. He even mocked my hobby of sketching new dessert ideas, which I was passionate about. I spent a lot of time on it, but he dismissed my sketches as terrible designs and said I was wasting my time. His disdain escalated to criticizing my family and the products they sent us. "Send me T-bone instead," he sneered. "It's a shame your family is too poor to send anything of value." His venomous remarks were revolting. It was infuriating that he couldn't appreciate the kindness of others. I should have confronted him, but I disliked confrontation and couldn't stand up for myself. I was also terrified of being left without a place to go if he kicked me out. The fear of being lost kept me from arguing with him. He knew he had control over me, so his behavior worsened. One day, I cooked a white stew using milk from my family. As I anticipated, he viciously criticized it, saying, "Ew, it smells rancid and reeks of poverty." I can't eat poor people's food. I was prepared for his harsh comments and planned to shrug them off. But this time, he crossed a line. Before this stew stinks up the whole house with the odor of poverty, I'm throwing it out. I feel like I'm in jail being served such food. Seriously, you're the worst wife. He dumped the pot of stew into the trash. I finally lost my temper. How could you throw away the food I took time to make? You're disgusting for wasting perfectly good food like that. Instead of apologizing, he snapped back, blah blah blah. You're so dull, useless, and annoying. Who do you think you're talking to? I'm better than you. You're just a burden. I don't need you anymore. Then he revealed why he married me. I thought at 35, you'd have savings. You seemed out of the dating loop for so long. I just wanted your money and to use you like a robot. You wanted me anyway, so it was a win-win, right? His cruel revelation hit me hard. He had only married me to exploit my finances. We delayed the marriage to make you save more money. It was all part of my plan. My savings are almost gone because you've been splurging, but you never mentioned that your savings are almost gone. How's that my fault? It's your job to manage the finances, so you take responsibility. A penniless wife is worthless to me, lower than my farm animals. With a vile sneer, he suddenly grabbed my sketches from the shelf and tore them to pieces. Pathetic, he shouted, tossing the scraps aside before storming out of the room. What have I ever done to you? I cried out in despair. I've only tried to do my best to make our lives better. That night, I couldn't sleep. I cried my eyes out. The next day, as he coldly told me, "Get out," without even looking up from his newspaper, I realized we were getting a divorce. Okay, I said, resigning myself. I had been thinking the same thing last night, so I quietly packed my things and left the house. As I stepped outside, my father's face appeared in my mind. He had always doubted this marriage. Why hadn't I listened to his words? Tears welled up in my eyes as I wondered what he would have said if I told him about the divorce. Would he have been angry with me for not heeding his advice? Would he have been disappointed or refused to speak to me? Unable to answer these questions, I started living alone, too afraid to confront him. I found a small apartment with my meager savings, but my ex spread harmful rumors about me, making my new life difficult. I was mentally exhausted. While scanning job ads online, I found a listing for a position at a bakery manufacturer, a job I had once dreamed of. Though I felt too old to change careers, I decided to give it a try. Working at the bakery manufacturer and learning new skills restored my confidence. Once I regained my sense of self, I decided it was time to do something I had been putting off. Visit my father and tell him about my divorce and new career. That night, however, I received a call from my mother, who was sobbing. "Your dad passed away in a hospital today. Please come home. The memorial service is the day after tomorrow." The news hit me like a hammer, and my mind went blank. I packed my things in a daze and drove as fast as I could to the ranch. When I arrived, I saw him lying peacefully in a casket. It was too late. I was too late. As I looked at my father's shriveled corpse, the reality of my regrets crashed down on me. I hadn't come clean about my divorce or apologized to him. "Why did you leave so soon, Dad?" I whispered through my tears. "I was going to tell you everything. I'm sorry for not coming sooner." I wept into my pillow all night, unable to sleep. 2 days later, his memorial service took place at the ranch. I was so devastated that I felt like a zombie. Then, unexpectedly, my ex appeared before me, having learned of my father's passing through a mutual friend. I had hoped he would show some respect at the service, but my expectations were quickly shattered. "So when are you getting your inheritance?" he demanded. "Since I took care of you, you need to pay me back for that." He continued, "I've been waiting for the country bumpkin to die anyway. This hillbilly memorial is so plain, isn't it? Don't tell me you don't have money. Just sell this useless stuff to get more. This is your chance to prove that marrying you was worth it, even on such a solemn occasion." My ex's behavior was despicable, dishonoring both my father and me. "Leave now. There's no place for a slime ball like you here," I said, outraged. But he didn't care and persisted. "Pay me, then I'll leave. I don't even want to be in this crappy town. You always complicate things, which is why I divorced you." His cruelty was unbearable. As he continued to press for money and belittle the situation, I felt a deep, angry sadness. He sneered at me, blaming me for our divorce, even though we were at the far corner of the room, away from the others. People were beginning to notice the commotion. Without warning, he put on a scornful smile, as if struck by a brilliant idea, and reached into his pocket. "Here's my contribution to your gift of assistance," he said, his voice dripping with mockery. He then threw coins at me with a flourish, the clinking sound echoing through the room. His dreadful smile never wavered as he picked up a dime from the floor, holding it up as though it were a trophy. I knew exactly what he meant. Where had the kind man who had once given me that lucky silver dime gone? Tears flowed uncontrollably from my despair. Just then, a man in a luxurious suit approached me. "I apologize for my delay. My deepest condolences." "I'm very sorry about your father," he said sincerely. My ex looked surprised and shoved me aside. He quickly plastered a broad smile on his face and extended his hand to the man. It turned out the man was an important contact for a big project my ex had been working on. As my ex chatted away, the man glanced at me over his shoulder, his expression a mix of sympathy and curiosity. My ex saw the interaction and began to shame me. "She's my useless ex-wife," he declared, his voice dripping with contempt. "She thinks crying will fix everything. She sits up high on her throne, never intending to improve herself." I'm embarrassed that I was even giving her a lecture. He laughed dismissively, clearly believing he looked authoritative. But the man remained stoic and calm. "I'm retracting the contract with your company." "What?" The color drained from my ex's face. "She's a key person in the project," the man continued, "and I would never associate with a company that humiliates one of my excellent employees in public. If this dull woman is your excellent employee, there must be some mistake." Ignoring my ex, who was now frantic, the man immediately called his boss and announced the contract's cancellation. My ex's phone rang immediately afterward, his voice trembling as he apologized repeatedly. "My father's ranch may have been small scale, but its products were known for their exceptional quality, even praised by renowned pastry chefs. By sheer coincidence, I started working at my current job, where my boss was a fan of my father's milk and butter. My refined palate, honed by top-quality ingredients, was valued in my new role. My dad had never disclosed the specifics of his products to my ex, and I had never boasted about my family's business, so my ex never knew the truth. Looking back, I wondered if my dad had been testing my ex's character. After finishing his call, my ex turned to me, his face ashen. He realized his career might be in jeopardy without this project. His demeanor suddenly shifted as he pleaded, "Please talk to him and make him change his mind. I did mean to harm you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry, only because I need to save my career." Reaching my boiling point, I let out all my frustration. "You self-centered bastard. Do you think crying will make things better?" Right back at you. "One of the sketches you tore apart that day was the origin of this project. Now you want to sell my Lane Creek made with my dad's milk, which you once said stunk of poverty." The project my ex was working on involved crepes that I had created and supervised, using cream made from my dad's fresh milk. When he learned the details, he snapped. "Why didn't you tell me?" Kicking over chairs in frustration, he was met with a man's calm response. The man stoically picked up the chairs and placed them back. "You may not realize it, but many industry professionals are here. There's no point in resisting anymore. Your misconduct will spread quickly. You have no place here." My ex collapsed onto the floor, desperation etched into his face as he clung to me. "Please help me," he begged. "I'm going to lose everything. I'm so sorry for what I've done. Please just help me." He clung to me, miserable and pleading. I decided to respond with a sweetness that masked my true feelings. As he looked up at me with hopeful eyes, thinking he was saved, I took the lucky silver coin he had given me when we first met out of my purse. I lowered it to his eye level and then deliberately dropped it onto the floor. "You make your own luck," I said coldly. "Hope you understand that someday." He was stunned, frozen in place like a statue. Ironically, the tables had turned, and he began to whimper. "Be quiet," I snapped. "Stop disrupting the memorial. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? You're the lamest person here. Good riddance to bad luck." With nothing left to say or do, he fled the house, tail between his legs. A week after my father's funeral, news broke that my ex, who had been responsible for the project's failure, faced severe repercussions. He was reprimanded by his superiors, and when it was discovered he had embezzled the project budget, was fired and criminally charged. He was left exhausted and broken, his bad deeds catching up with him. He ended up living in a shabby apartment, alone. Meanwhile, my dad's friends and staff, who had inherited his commitment to quality, continued to uphold his legacy. They were expanding their business and maintaining the high standards he had set. The man who had canceled the project contacted me and shared that he had known my dad for many years. He recounted a conversation he'd had with my father after I was hired at his company. "Your daughter is putting a lot of effort into her work, even amidst her divorce," he said. "I want to support her as much as I can." Though he was aware of my divorce, he seemed relieved. "It's heartbreaking to know she was mistreated and that your family was disrespected. Knowing her, I worry that she pushed herself too hard. I'm ashamed I didn't reach out when she was suffering. I hope to see her thrive in her own happiness from now on. Please take care of her." Listening to these words, I couldn't stop crying. Discovering my father's true thoughts and how he cared for me filled me with overwhelming gratitude. Despite the struggles, I now felt hopeful about my future. "I'm sorry, Dad, for not being by your side in your last moments," I said to the sky. "There have been many struggles, but I'm better now. I'm living a full life, learning to be a patissier. I'm going to use all the products you cherished for so many years. Please watch over me from heaven. I love you so much." With my heart full of gratitude, I promised to keep working hard to become the patissier he believed I could be.